What's up everyone, this is DR with WoW Breakdown 101, and today we're going to take a quick look at my favorite range class to play in 6.0.2. That would be the Elemental Shaman, so let's get into it, shall we? Now the first thing you may have noticed is that Echo of Elements talent has changed, and to be honest, I love the playstyle that it brings. Instead of duplicating the spells when it procs, it causes your next Lava Burst, Frost Strike, or Earthquake to not incur its cooldown. However, as it stands right now, it is by far the lowest DPS choice right now, so it's going to come down to your Elemental Mastery for fights that you're going to need huge burst on, or Ancestral Swiftness for those fights that you're not going to need the bursty damage. For fights where there are a lot of adds that are going to be up for quite a while in Warlords of Draenor, I can actually see Echo of Elements being the choice of talent at that point, as having 2 Earthquakes up at once would be very nice, especially with the high mastery builds. Okay, so let's talk about the second thing that has changed on your Elemental Shaman. Well, we're going to talk about Mastery just for a second, which is actually the only thing that Mastery really has done now is it makes Earthquake actually going to be worth you using again for once. Finally, Earthquake is going to be in your rotation for AoEs and is going to be the #1 priority, followed by Lava Beam if your Ascendance is up. You're always going to dump your Earth Shock on the highest priority once you hit 15 stacks on your Lightning Shield during an AoE rotation. If there's going to be over 10 targets alive, then you will use your Thunderstorm if the fight allows for it positioning wise. Finally, Chain Lightning those adds like a boss. Mastery is still going to be one of your go-to secondary stats, and the only change it makes to your gameplay is allowing you to use Earthquake. Now, let's talk about the second big change that has happened to your Elemental Shaman, and one that you have probably noticed fast when playing. Your Lightning Bolt is no longer able to be cast on the move. This is taking ranged casters back to their good old glory days. Now, I know many of you out there are not going to like this change, but it will create interesting gameplay and decision making for fights that you're going to have to move on. This will add depth, which will now allow you to have to plan out how to move during an encounter to maximize your DPS. But fear not, I will have point of view guides that will help you in knowing how and when to move to maximize your DPS when Warlords of Draenor comes out. Now, you Elemental Shamans that have been neglecting your good old Spirit Walker's Grace, your time has now come. Not making good use of Spirit Walker's Grace now as an Elemental Shaman will hurt your DPS quite a bit in heavy movement fights. If you know you have to move for more than 4 seconds constantly, this is like using a DPS cooldown. That's right, Spirit Walker's Grace is actually a DPS cooldown that you need to start making use of when moving. Even if you're just moving for 3 seconds, it's worth using Spirit Walker's Grace. But you want to make sure that you're using it in a correct and wise way to where you know you're going to be doing the most movement during the fight. Now, you may be saying, but DR, it does not increase any of my stats, so it's not a DPS cooldown. But when you think about it, when you're doing 15k DPS as of right now on your Shaman, and you have to move for 3 seconds without casting anything, then you just lost 45,000 damage, so that's the reason it's classified as a DPS cooldown. Make use of it, guys. Finally, one of the last big changes that you're going to notice is you no longer have to imbue your weapons, and your Unleashed Fury talent has changed to better compete with Elemental Blast. This change has made it so that every 30 seconds your next fire damage skill and nature damage skill hits harder. The only downside to this spell is that it does consume a global cooldown, which can start to add up in a long fight. Everything else on your Elemental Shaman is pretty much the same as it was in 5.4. As Elemental Shamans was one of the least pruned by the ability prune, you have access and great access to tons of situational skills that can come into play in raiding and especially in PvP. Okay, so what does your single target priority rotation look like? #1 priority is Unleash Flame if you've chose the Unleash Fury as a talent. #2 is your Flame Shock if it is not on the target or if it's going to expire before your next Lava Burst can land. #3 is Lava Burst. #4 is Earth Shock. #5 is going to be Elemental Blast if you took the talent. #6 is Keep Up Searing Totem. And finally, cast Lightning Bolts as your filler. The single target rotation is basically the same as 5.4. However, if you have the full tier 16 heroic set, then you will throw Earthquake as your #5 priority. Okay, don't forget your defensive cooldowns. As an Elemental Shaman, you have Shamanistic Rage, and you can take and should take Astral Shift talent that gives you 2 really nice damage reduction cooldowns that have a low cooldown. The reason I say take Astral Shift is it actually gives you control over when your damage reduction is going to happen. As Elemental, you are also great at throwing some emergency heals out to help out as well, so look for those opportunities to really help out your healers and your raid. Finally, I want to add this. Remember, Elemental Shamans are great hybrid classes and fill a great niche role in your raid and in your party. If you just want to blow shit up, then go with a Warlock, or Mages for that matter. Make use of your overflowing toolkit that missed the great blizzard pruning, and go out there and have a blast. Elemental blast if you want. That is all I have for this quick look. Elemental Shamans are looking beautiful in 6.0.2, and they're going to be a super blast in Warlords of Draenor. So guys, if you love your Elemental Shaman before, you're going to love it even more now. I know you'll get used to the changes, so just stick with it, guys. And gals, if you liked the video, give it a like, share, and subscribe to keep up with future content. As always, have fun, and see you again next time.